Continuing from the previous episode 412. Chapter 1341. Opening of the Heavenly Tomb. A beautiful figure shot to the top of the Green Mountain with lightning speed. Within a couple of flashes, she had appeared in front of Xiao Yan. Her pretty eyes were filled with worry. Xiao Yan, Gege. Are you alright? Earlier, Xiao Yan grinned and shook his head. He studied Xuan Er's tense face and said, "Ah, that person earlier was your father, clan head Ji Yuan." I knew it. Xuan Er knit her brows. Her tone faintly contained some fury. It was unexpected that even her father could not resist revealing himself after those fellows had unveiled their faces one after another. "Ha ha," clan head Ji Yuan did not say anything to stop the two of us. He only discussed some matters related to the Xiao clan. Xiao Yan smiled and defended Ji Yuan. "Is it true? He didn't talk about the matter between us?" Xuan Er was slightly startled. Clearly, she felt very surprised. Xiao Yan rubbed his nose. He suddenly approached Xuan Er's delicate ear and softly uttered a couple of sentences. Xuan Er's elegant face immediately turned bright red when she heard his soft voice. Her pretty eyes cut Xiao Yan in a lovely and displeased manner. However, her expression had relaxed a little. Ji Yuan possessed an extremely high position within the Ji clan. If even he opposed their relationship, she would really end up in a dilemma. She was very unwilling to deal with that kind of situation. Let's return first. Xiao Yan, Gege. You already possess one of the spots to enter the Heavenly Tomb. All you need to do is wait for 2 days now and we will be able to enter it together. Xuan Er gently pulled Xiao Yan's hand as she informed him with a smile. Joy flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes when he heard her words. He was worried that the elders within the Ji clan would come up with reasons to prevent him from entering the Heavenly Tomb. After hearing what Xuan Er had said, it was obvious that this problem had been resolved. "Thank you very much, Xuan Er." Xiao Yan's hand gently rubbed her warm jade-like hand as he softly thanked her. He guessed that Xuan Er had helped him again. His act of hurrying to the Ji clan today was related to this. Xuan Er hinted at a smile. She twisted her delicate and gentle waist. Her face contained a bright redness as she gently leaned on Xiao Yan's shoulder. She shut her pretty eyes as she greedily inhaled the warm air that caused her to feel relaxed. A warmth rose within Xiao Yan's heart as studied the person in his embrace. His hand gently rested on a delicate waist. At the same time, his head was buried in soft black hair. Upon inhaling a faint fragrance, it appeared as though his fatigue had gradually disappeared. Ji Yuan's body slowly appeared in the empty sky above. He observed the man and woman embracing each other on the mountain top and involuntarily sighed. After which, his body moved, and he once again disappeared. "Xiaozan, you are still the superior one." All agony seemed to have been abandoned within this pleasant country scene. 2 days swiftly passed amid this quiet life. No one from the Ji clan came to disturb Xiao Yan's group during these 2 days. This kind of peace and quiet was wonderful. However, this silence could not last for long. When the morning light of the 3rd day scattered down from the sky, an unusual atmosphere began to spread over the mountain range. Even Xiao Yan's group felt it. Today is the day that the Heavenly Tomb will open. Xuan Er stood in front of the bamboo house and uttered these words to Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan grinned. Xuan Er beckoned with her hand, and the snow-white single-horned beast flew out of the mountain forest. Xiao Yan's group quickly got onto it with a familiarity. Finally, the single-horned beast flapped both its wings and flew to the east after Xuan Er gave a soft whistle. The Heavenly Tomb will open deep within the Ji sacred mountain range. That place are forbidden grounds of the Ji clan. No one is allowed to enter them normally. It will only open when the Heavenly Tomb is opened. A gentle breeze blew over the single-horned beast's back and lifted Xuan Er's black hair, which extended all the way to her delicate waist. At the same time, she was explaining things to Xiao Yan's group. There is some danger within the Heavenly Tomb. A countless number of experts from ancient times are buried within it. Although their souls have already disappeared, the energy from when they were alive have transformed into their past appearances due to the mysteriousness of the Heavenly Tomb. This energy is filled with an extremely powerful offensive strength. Moreover, they also know their Do skills from when they were alive. It will be extremely difficult to deal with them. Xuan Er's expression became a little grave when she mentioned the interior of the Heavenly Tomb. She said, "Therefore, if one ends up meeting an overly powerful energy body, it is best to try and avoid it." It is rumored that some experts with extremely great strength when they were alive have produced energy bodies with some intelligence. They could even be considered a mysterious living creature. A living creature that has been transformed from the dead, huh? Xiao Yan thought aloud. The overly great strength from when these people were alive and the mysterious effects of the heavenly tomb were the reasons why such a strange occurrence happens. The heavenly tomb is divided into 3 levels. The energy bodies on the first level are mostly 3-star Do Zooms or weaker. They drift around without any consciousness and are not very difficult to deal with. The second level's energy bodies are between a 3 and 8-star Do Zoom. They are quite troublesome to deal with. As for the third level, those are genuinely at the peak of the Do Zoom class. There are even some ultimate experts who have reached the Do Shen class when they were alive. Normally speaking, seldom anyone barges into the third level without absolute confidence. That place is too dangerous. Xuan slowly explained. The tomb of my ancestor, Xiao Zan, is in the third level? Xiao Yan asked. It is rumored that it is in the deepest part of the third level. However, seldom anyone dares to enter that place even from our GU clan. Xuan helplessly replied. It is actually so troublesome. There will definitely be a path when we get there. Let's enter the heavenly tomb before discussing our plans. Xiao Yan felt much calmer after this thought flashed across his heart. After which, he asked Xuan about information related to the heavenly tomb. The single-horned beast gradually traveled deep into the mountain range while the two of them were chatting. Xiao Yan's group had met some people who were hurrying to this place along the way. They were mostly experts from the other 6 clans and some GU clan experts. Although they had met them, there were not many conversations. Only the clan members from the GU clan respectfully greeted Xuan from a distance before they swiftly left. The flying continued for around 10 minutes before the single-horned beast finally stopped by some steep mountains. At this moment, quite a number of figures had gathered here. Xiao Yan's eyes swept over, only to see quite a number of familiar figures. Xiao Yan's eyes suddenly hardened as they swept across the surrounding mountains. 3 black-robed figures were suspended in the empty air where his gaze froze. A dark and cold aura slowly spread from the bodies of these 3. Hanya. Xiao Yan's eyes narrowed when he saw these 3 people. The fist under his sleeve was slowly tightened. Xiao Yan Gege. Be careful of the person leading those from the Hun clan. He is called Hanya. It is rumored that he is quite renowned among the members of the younger generation from the Hun clan, and he is extremely difficult to deal with. He is likely going to be entering the heavenly tomb. You should be more careful if you meet him in the heavenly tomb. Xuan whispered beside Xiao Yan's ear. I have already met him. Xiao Yan nodded. He was naturally aware of just how strong Hanya was. From his guess, this person was likely as difficult to deal with as Gu Yao. Those geniuses within the clans with long history did indeed possess true strength. They were not the same level as those useless geniuses outside. The members from the Ling clan from the 8 clans did not arrive this time around. That group to the southeast is from the Yao clan. Oh, a thought passed through Xiao Yan's heart. He glanced where Xuan pointed and saw a couple of figures suspended in the air. There was a medicinal cauldron image on their foreheads. A man, who was leading those from the Yao clan, sensed something when Xiao Yan's eyes landed on this group. He tilted his head and shifted his eyes to Xiao Yan. He was briefly startled before an unfriendly smile was lifted onto his face. Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes when he saw this gaze. It seemed that the people from the Yao clan were prejudiced against him. The eastern side are those from the Lei clan. Old Mr. Meng Tian Kai is leading them this trip. However, he will not enter the heavenly tomb. Most of the time, the ones who enter are members of the younger generation. After all, the heavenly tomb is not a bad training ground. Xiao Yan once again shifted his eyes. He looked to a group of people with a lightning mark on their foreheads and nodded. You have already met those from the Yan clan. On the western side are those from the Shi clan. Due to their bloodline, their physical bodies are all extremely frightening. They could be comparable to some of the top magical beasts within the magical beast world. Xiao Yan turned to the west. A group of grayish-white individuals stood there. An enormous rock was tattooed on their foreheads. These are all the people who will enter the heavenly tomb this time around. Other than the Gu clan, which looks after the heavenly tomb, the other clans only possess 2 spots each. Xuan smiled as she spoke. Xiao Yan slowly nodded. He was just about to speak when he suddenly sensed this entire place trembling. A vast ancient aura slowly spread from empty space. Everyone present felt respect and fear surging from deep within their souls when faced with this ancient aura. The heavenly tomb is about to open, Xuan softly said as she watched the sky suddenly become dark. Bang! Xuan words had just sounded when a shockingly loud noise was emitted from empty space, and a 10,000-foot large spatial crack spread across the sky. A cluster of silver light gradually surfaced in the middle of this spatial line. Finally, the line transformed into a 1,000-foot large spatial door with a vast ancient aura spreading from it. This is the heavenly tomb, huh? Xiao Yan muttered to himself as he studied the ancient door standing between the sky and earth. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 413. Chapter 1342. Entering the heavenly tomb, the ancient spatial door stood between the sky and the earth. An ancient aura spread from it, causing everyone's soul to quiver. Everyone should be aware of the rules regarding entering the heavenly tomb. Every clan has 2 places. There cannot be an excess number of people entering. Elder Tongzhan's elderly figure was suspended in the sky. His eyes looked down at the surrounding human figures as he spoke. Everyone slightly nodded upon hearing his words. The rules of entering the heavenly tomb has always been like this. Each clan has 2 places. This has continued even now. However, only the GU clan, being the clan that guarded the heavenly tomb, received preferential treatment. For example, there were 5 from the GU clan who could enter the heavenly tomb this time around. This kind of preferential treatment made the other clans a little jealous. Xiao Yan Gege, we will be randomly separated if we enter separately. Therefore we must enter together. Xuan turned her head and smiled as she spoke to Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan nodded. He was extremely unfamiliar with the heavenly tomb. If he had Xuan with him, he would be saved from many unnecessary troubles. Rumble. The ancient door that was within the spatial crack in the sky suddenly unleashed a loud rumbling sound while Xiao Yan nodded. That large door slowly opened, forming a gap. A glaring light erupted from it and lit up the land. If people have been properly assigned, please prepare to enter the heavenly tomb. Remember, all of you can only remain in the heavenly tomb for 3 years. After 3 years, the heavenly tomb will automatically expel you. Elder Tongzhan once again spoke in a deep voice as he watched the ancient door slowly open. 3 years, around half a year in the outside world. Xiao Yan mused. This was quite a good opportunity. The heavenly tomb was an extremely useful training spot since the flow of time within it was strange. If Xiao Yan were to train for 3 years within it, his strength would definitely increase. Bang! The gap of the ancient door in the sky grew wider. It was 100 feet in size. A dense aura from ancient times rolled out like a fog. Kai! A couple sounds of rushing wind suddenly appeared from within the mountain forest after the ancient door opened. 4 figures rushed toward the sky with lightning-like speed and entered the door that had just opened in front of many eyes. The members of the GU clan. GU Gen has also entered? Xiao Yan was slightly surprised when he saw the 4 figures. The figure leading them was that strong green-clothed man, whom Xiao Yan had sensed back then. Behind that man was a silver-robed man and a man with a burly appearance. Of course, the person who caused Xiao Yan to be the most surprised was the last figure, GU Gen. GU Yao did not choose to enter the heavenly tomb this time around. It seems he undertook a retreat. Therefore, the elders got GU Gen to replace him. Xuan softly explained. It seems that this failure has been a big blow to him. If he is unable to accept this kind of failure, he will stop at this level. Xiao Yan indifferently shook his head. When he fought with others, he would not become dispirited if he lost. The stronger the opponent, the greater his desire to win. With the state of mind of someone like GU Yao, it would be extremely difficult if he truly wished to break through to the Do Zoom class to become a Do Sheng. Compared with GU Gen, Xiao Yan felt that GU Gen's achievement would be even greater. GU Gen's talent might not be as great as GU Yao, but his character was the most calm and indifferent among all the members of the younger generation whom Xiao Yan had met during these years. This kind of character, which is as firm as a mountain, has bestowed him with an exceptionally indomitable ability to survive. Xuan nodded. She smiled sweetly and asked, "Shall we also get moving?" Xiao Yan inclined his head. After which, he turned his head and looked at the little fairy doctor behind him. He smiled as he said, "The time that I will spend in the heavenly tomb will likely be quite long. You can return to the Falling Star Pavilion first should anything happen. Be careful." The little fairy doctor nodded. Her voice was warm and gentle. Xiao Yan smiled. After which, he exchanged glances with Xu and Er. Their bodies moved, and they transformed into two light figures that swiftly bolted toward the large ancient door. They subsequently disappeared within the intense light from the large door. The members from the remaining clans began to move one after another after the duo disappeared. They turned into numerous rays of light that flew into the large door. After the final figure entered the large door, an intense ripple suddenly appeared, and the door slowly became illusory in front of everyone's eyes until it disappeared. The foggy place occasionally had some strange fire glows flashing in the distance. They would flash and disappear. A death-like silence covered this foreign land. Kai, the space within the silent land suddenly became distorted. Immediately, two figures, holding hands, slowly stepped out of the space and appeared. The Do Qi within their bodies circulated as their eyes cautiously observed their surroundings. "This is the heavenly tomb?" Xiao Yan sighed in relief after failing to detect an unexpected situation. He curiously observed his surroundings as he asked. "Aye." Xu and Er smiled and nodded. The others had been transported to other places. This heavenly tomb was extremely vast. It was difficult to say whether or not they would run into others. There is an extremely rich energy. It is even stronger than the GU realm's energy. Xiao Yan grabbed the foggy air in front of him. He was surprised to discover that the natural energy contained within the air was extremely dense, and its purity greatly exceeded his expectations. Xu and Er sweetly smiled. She tilted her head, looked at Xiao Yan, and asked, "Which level does Xiao Yan Ge wish to head to?" "If it is possible, I wish to head to Ancestor Xiaozan's tomb on the 3rd level of the Heavenly Tomb. However, that place is too dangerous. We are in no hurry now. After all, we have 3 years. Xiao Yan mused for a moment before replying. Xu and Er did not appear surprised by Xiao Yan's reply. She was aware of his character. Having come here, it was only natural that he would not give up on Xiaozan's tomb. "Let's get moving. The Heavenly Tomb is extremely large. We should hurry to the 2nd level first. Based on my estimations, it will take around 4 months or so. Due to the energy pressure within this Heavenly Tomb, we are unable to fly for long. Therefore, we must spend most of the time walking." Xu and Er spoke with a smile. Her pretty eyes landed on Xiao Yan as she said, "When we reach the entrance of the 2nd level, Xiao Yan Ge might reach the peak of a 5-star Do Zun. Of course, if you are lucky, it is not impossible to even reach the 6th star." "Oh, so quick?" Xiao Yan was startled. Xu and Er softly laughed. She turned her head, and her pretty eyes looked at the foggy air to her right. Her hand was slowly lifted before she suddenly clenched it. Energy swiftly agglomerated when Xu and Er clenched her hand. In the blink of an eye, the fog there completely scattered. An illusory body vaguely appeared in Xiao Yan's sight. "This is energy body?" Xiao Yan was startled when he saw this illusory figure. He had not detected the approach of this thing. "Aye, they can rely on the energy fog to hide themselves. They will quietly approach us and then launch an attack." Xu and Er smiled and nodded. She flicked her finger and the illusory figure suddenly became distorted. A puff sounded and the figure exploded. A thumb-sized cluster of light swiftly rushed to Xu and Er before she grabbed it. "This is an energy core. It stores extremely pure energy, and it is the extremely nourishing thing that I had mentioned." Xu and Er opened her hand and a rhombus-shaped thumb-sized crystal appeared in her palm. It glowed with an extremely rich energy fog. Normally speaking, the energy cores within the Heavenly Tomb are divided into 9 grades. The energy contained within the core in my hand has only reached the 2nd grade. It isn't considered very good. Those high-grade energy cores are all in the deepest parts of the 1st level or the lower levels. "Well, Xiao Yan Ge, why don't you give it a try first? Hold it in your palm and use your Qi method to absorb it." Xu and Er flicked her finger as she spoke. She shot the energy core toward Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan received the energy core and curiously played with it. After which, he did what Xu and Er had said. He grabbed the energy core in his hand and circulated his Qi method. Following the circulation of the flame mantra, Xiao Yan suddenly felt a chill within his heart. He was stunned to sense wave after wave of warm, pure energy surging out of the energy core like floodwater. After which, the energy surged around Xiaoyan's body. He rejoiced because he barely needed to refine this energy. All he needed to do was circulate it within his veins, and the energy was deposited in his limbs and bones. Finally, it entered his muscles, bones, and cells. The way it seeped in caused Xiaoyan sense the gradually strengthening energy within his body. What a mysterious thing. It is even smoother to absorb it than ordinary medicinal pills. No wonder even the Gu clan, Hun clan, and these ultimate factions hold it in such high regards. It is such a mysterious treasure ground. Xiaoyan opened his hand after the final cluster of energy entered his body, and the energy core had turned into dust. An expression of surprise had surged onto his face. If it was not difficult to obtain such an energy core, it would not be impossible for him to advance to a 6-star Dozun within 4 months. Xuan'er smiled when she saw the shock on Xiaoyan's face. She placed her hands behind her, and her toes were pressed on the ground. Her lovely body appeared just like a butterfly as she elegantly drifted forward. A sweet clear laughter softly spread. Xiaoyan Gege, let's go. Why don't we play a game? Who will be able to obtain more energy cores during these 3 years? Xiaoyan smiled, strode forward, and swiftly followed. He was very curious just how strong he would grow during these 3 years. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 414. Chapter 1343. Bitter training. Fluorescent lights drifted above the foggy land. At a glance, it appeared like the entire world was covered in a deadly silence. There was not even the slightest life force present. This dead silence remained for an unknown period of time. Suddenly, the low and deep sound of rushing wind appeared. A low cry was mixed within it. The sound followed the fog and penetrated through it. If one's eyes were to follow the direction where the sound originated, one would be able to see 2 blurry figures. Only upon closer inspection one would discover 10 illusory figures around the 2 people. These figures had empty eye sockets floating around. Despite the absence of eyes, the speed and strength of these energy figures was not weakened even a little. A majestic energy surged when they attacked. Some of the large rocks on the ground were shattered. Attack! Xiaoyan involuntarily laughed as he watched the energy bodies surrounding him. After which, he let out a loud cry. Xiaoyan's figure rushed away almost instantly after his loud cry sounded. At the same time, a lovely figure also flashed and appeared from another spot beside Xiaoyan. A golden light was unleashed from her hand, and it smashed into the many energy bodies with lightning-like speed. A deep explosion spread over the area. Even the dense fog had become much thinner. This kind of explosion continued for a moment before it swiftly came to a stop. 2 figures once again appeared together. They exchanged looks and laughed. 5 pieces. Xiaoyan opened his palm. 5 thumb-sized energy cores appeared in it. They emitted a dense energy. 6 pieces. Xuan'er also extended her white jade-like hand. 6 similar energy cores appeared in her palm. Xuan'er covered her mouth and softly laughed when she saw the difference. She said in a lovely voice, Xiaoyan Gege, I have won again this time around. Xiaoyan helplessly shook his head. Although the strength of these energy bodies was at the 2-star Dozun class, dealing with 5 of them at the same time was already his limit. If there were any more of them, he would have to use a Do skill. If they continued to compete like this, he was unable to match Xuan'er. Absorb the energy cores first. I will stand guard. Xuan'er placed all of the energy cores in Xiaoyan's hand as she ordered him. Xiaoyan took the energy cores into his hand without rejecting her. He was aware that he was extremely pressed to raise his strength. Hence, he did not utter any pointless rejections. He received the energy cores and swiftly sat down. His chi method was circulated and wave after wave of rich energy surged from the energy core. It appeared like a thick fog that wrapped around Xiaoyan and poured into his body like an air dragon, following his breathing. Xuan'er smiled when she saw Xiaoyan absorb the energy. She gently sat beside Xiaoyan, and her hand parted the black hair in front of her forehead. It had been nearly 2 months since they had entered the heavenly tomb. During these 2 months, the 2 of them had continued to walk through this vast land. Any energy bodies that they meet along the way would be turned into energy cores and would appear in their hands. Hence, the gains that they had obtained during these 2 months were quite rich, but they felt somewhat regretful since the energy bodies were not very strong. The energy cores that they had obtained only appeared to be of the 2nd grade or 3rd grade. These energy cores were still a little useful. When Xiao Yan absorbed more and more energy cores, their effects seemed to become a little poorer. Only now did he understand that if one absorbed too much of this energy, one's body would form a resistance to it. However, this resistance was much weaker than what was formed against a medicinal pill. This quiet world was extremely beneficial to train in. However, one would have to endure a dullness that was many times greater than the outside world. Fortunately, Xiao Yan and Xuan were accompanying each other, so the days might appear dull, but there was an additional liveliness. Xiao Yan's absorption of the energy core did not last for long before his eyes slowly opened. He inhaled a deep breath of air, and the energy lingering around him turned into a cluster of air that was swallowed into his stomach. How is it? Xuan stretched her lazy waist after watching Xiao Yan complete the absorption. Her pretty curves were completely exposed, and her tone contained a tempting laziness. There has been an improvement. However, I am still a ways from the 6-star level. It seems that we must find some higher-grade energy cores. Xiao Yan frowned as he spoke. We are already approaching the middle section of the 1st level. The energy bodies from here on will gradually become stronger. If we are lucky, we might even be able to meet an energy body with the strength of a 6-star Do Zun or higher. The energy cores within their bodies are most suitable to you. Xuan sweetly smiled as she explained the situation. Her enchanting smile caused the irritation that had appeared within Xiao Yan's body to quietly disappear. How far is it to the 2nd level? It should take another month or so. The Heavenly Tomb has 3 levels. The 1st level is the most spacious. The subsequent 2 levels are a little better. However, the danger will also increase. Xuan replied. There is still another month, huh? Xiao Yan mused. He nodded and stood up. He looked to the horizon and smiled as he said, in that case, let's continue to travel. I wonder what those other fellows are like now. Those who can enter the Heavenly Tomb are all very strong individuals within the clan. They also understand the Heavenly Tomb quite well. Unless they end up provoking an extremely powerful existence, nothing should happen to them. Moreover, an existence that has reached that level will rarely be found on the 1st level. Let's go. Xiao Yan nodded. After which, he waved his large hand, took a step forward, and quickly headed in the direction of the deepest part of the Heavenly Tomb. Xuan smiled and followed close behind him. Although this world was dull, any dull place would become extremely warm when she could be with him. The vast Heavenly Tomb was filled with a dense energy fog. Under this energy pressure, anything that flew would feel their bodies grow as heavy as a mountain. One would feel extremely exhausted after flying for a short period of time. Thus, the Heavenly Tomb appeared endless. The world in the Heavenly Tomb was dead quiet and uninteresting. However, no mediocre person could enter this mysterious place. The people who could enter stood out from the many geniuses within their clans. Not only did they possess powerful strengths, even their characters were quite calm. Although this dullness was a little abominable to them, it was still within their ability to endure. Under this kind of dullness, it appeared that the concept of time had become much weaker. Hence, Xiao Yan and Xuan could not help but feel a little stunned when they saw an energy wall on the edge of their sights after they had spent 4 months crossing the vast Heavenly Tomb. Is this the entrance to the 2nd level? Xiao Yan asked in a slightly surprised voice after seeing the energy light wall, which seemed to pour down from the edge of the sky. A travel-worn feeling spread from Xiao Yan. His black hair had become a little longer, and his face seemed to have become a little thinner. However, his dark black eyes contained a glint of flickering light. Ever since Xiao Yan and Xuan had entered the deepest parts of the 1st level, they have had to face the attacks of some powerful energy bodies. Xiao Yan was the one who had dealt with most of these attacks because Xiao Yan could only stop Xuan from intervening after seeing her destroy a 6-star Do Zun energy body in a swift and simple manner. The 1st level did not pose much of a threat to her, and it would not have much of an effect on her training. However, it was different for Xiao Yan. He was only a 5-star Do Zun. If he did not use any Do skills, he would obtain benefits from exchanging blows with those 6-star Do Zun energy bodies. Of course, this was temporary. After the number of times they fought increased, Xiao Yan had become familiar with these energy bodies. Hence, the time of the fight had been reduced from a dozen-plus exchanges to less than 10 exchanges. Some of the weaker 6-star energy bodies were dealt with by Xiao Yan within 3 exchanges. Xiao Yan Gege, you are currently at the peak of the 5th star and will break through to the 6th star level soon. I suggest you break through before entering the 2nd level. Otherwise, the dou qi within your body will not be stable if it is full. Moreover, the 2nd level is more dangerous than the 1st. One cannot guarantee that nothing will happen if one advances one's level there. Xuan'er looked at the enormous energy light curtain in the distance before turning her head. She smiled as she gave Xiao Yan a suggestion. Xiao Yan hesitated for a moment after hearing her words. Finally, he nodded. After having trained for 4 months within the heavenly tomb and having swallowed thousands of energy cores, the dou qi within his body was at a full state. He would be able to break through to the 6th star at any moment. However, one's aura would end up unstable when advancing one's level, and it would not be suitable to stay in such a place. The advancement between levels in the Dou Zun class requires too much energy. The energy that I have absorbed during these 4 months is something that I would not have been able to obtain in the outside world even after an entire year. This energy has barely reached the requirement to break through. I wonder just what kind of frightening energy one requires to break through the 6th star to the 7th star. Xiao Yan softly sighed in his heart. He swiftly focused his mind, turned his head to Xuan'er, and said, "In that case, I will have to ask you to guard me again." Xuan'er smiled and nodded. Xiao Yan swept his eyes around him when he saw her nod. His body leapt onto a large rock. After which, he swiftly sat down. He entered his training condition and a cluster dou qi began to gradually spread from his body. It covered the area within a 100-meter radius. After Xiao Yan shut his eyes and attempted to break through, Xuan'er's toes pressed against the ground. Her body drifted onto a large rock. Her eyes were shut and the activity within a 1,000-foot radius was captured within her heart. Following the silence of these two, the land once again became completely quiet. After this dead silence continued for around 2 hours, a dark and cold wind suddenly rushed over. Xuan'er on the large rock suddenly opened her eyes when this dark and cold wind appeared. Her face was ice cold as she looked to the sky in the north. She spoke in an indifferent voice, "Since you are here, why do you need to continue hiding? Have the current members of the Han clan become this terrible? Ha ha! You're worthy of being in possession of the divine bloodline of the Gu clan. Such perception is indeed praiseworthy." The space in the distance fluctuated after Xuan'er's cold voice sounded. Immediately, 2 black-robed figures slowly stepped in the air and arrived. A dark and dense aura slowly spread from them. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 415. Chapter 1344. Han Ya, Han Li. 2 figures covered in black robes stepped through empty space. After which, they slowly landed a short distance from Xuan'er. The leader raised his head, revealing a young pale white face. It was Han Ya from the Han clan. "Han Ya, you are really bold." Xuan'er's eyes were icy cold as she stared at Han Ya and slowly yelled at him. "Ha ha! What is there to be afraid of? Your status does not pose the slightest deterrence to me. Actually, I really wish to know just what kind of uproar would occur within the Gu clan if you, a clan member with the divine bloodline, meet with an accident." Han Ya laughed. His voice was filled with a dark chill. "With your skill?" A golden flame slowly danced within Xuan'er's voice as she calmly inquired. "I know that it would be difficult to deal with you. Therefore, my target this time around is not you but him." Han Ya smiled. His finger suddenly pointed toward Xiao Yan, who was breaking through with his eyes shut. He laughed in a cold voice. "Actually 1 month ago, I sensed the both of you through my spiritual eye. However, I did not find a good opportunity to attack. Fortunately, such an opportunity has finally arrived." Xuan'er coldly laughed. "You can come and try." "As you wish." Han Ya smiled. A cold arc was lifted onto his pale face. "Han Li, attack together and kill her." "Understood." The black-robed person beside Han Ya nodded when he heard this command. He pulled off the dupeng on his head, revealing a scar-filled face. A pair of indifferent and emotionless eyes stared at Xuan'er a short distance away. There was not the slightest ripple in them because of Xuan'er's extremely beautiful appearance. "It is likely that Miss Xuan'er has heard of Han Li, right?" "Ha ha! Quite a number of experts from the Jiyu clan have died to his hands during the hidden fights between the Jiyu clan and the Han clan during these years. Of course, those injuries on his body were bestowed by those people. Han Ya smiled as he looked at Xuan and said, "I am aware that your strength is extremely great. However, I wish to see whether you can block 2 8-star Do Zuns when they are attacking together." Xuan face was without a ripple, appearing like an old well. She did not show the slightest unusual emotion because of Han Ya's words. She slowly stood up from the large rock. A golden flame lingered in her eyes. Bang! That man called Han Li stomped his foot on the ground the moment Xuan eyes filled with the golden flame. His body appeared in front of Xuan with lightning-like speed. His fist, which contained a dense cold aura, smashed toward Xuan neck without any fancy moves. Xuan eyes became cold when Han Li attacked. Her hand penetrated empty space with lightning-like speed, and she slammed into the fist just as it had been thrown forward. Bang! The fist and palm collided. A frightening wind caused the large rocks under their feet to explode with a bang. Han Li's body staggered 2 steps back. Although he was at a disadvantage, Han Li was not furious. An abnormal smile appeared on his face. His body flashed, and he once again pounced forward in a crazy fashion. Frightening wind shook the entire area until it rapidly began to distort. Faced with Han Li's ferocious attack, Xuan legs suddenly displayed a mysterious footwork. She easily dodged those sharp palm winds. Each time her weak hand struck Han Li's body, he would violently tremble. Han Li appeared to be attacking in the battleground. However, his rhythm was clearly being controlled by Xuan. It was like a furious bull on a rampage was attempting to strike a dancing butterfly. It might appear fierce, but it did not pose much threat. Xuan once again forced Han Li back with a palm. Her body suddenly turned, and she clenched her hand. A golden flame turned into a fire whip that shot out from her sleeve. Space fluctuated the moment the golden fire whip shot out. A dark black chain that contained a dark murderous aura shot from empty space like a poisonous snake. It heavily collided with the fire whip. An ear-piercing sizzling sound erupted. He, you are indeed worthy of being someone who possesses the divine bloodline. Your senses are this sharp. Han Ya's figure appeared at the end of the dark black chain. He coldly laughed as he widened his mouth. A large black dragon surged out. This dragon was accompanied by a sharp, deafening dragon roar. It tore through the air and ruthlessly charged toward Xuan. If one were to observe the scene carefully, one might discover that this dark black dragon was formed by many souls. The sharp dragon roar was emitted from many miserable screeches. Dirty tricks! Xuan's eyes became cold as she watched the dark black chain rushed over. She was just about to attack when an extremely ferocious wind was suddenly transmitted from behind her. Even without turning around, she was aware that Han Li had attacked again. Even Xuan ended up knitting her brows when faced with 2 8-star Do Zun experts. Her toes pressed on the ground, and her body rushed into the air. After which, the seal formed by her hand changed. A dense golden flame suddenly surged from her body in all directions. It transformed into a 100-meter large fire hand that reached for the enormous dark black dragon. Bang! The golden fire hand grabbed the dark black dragon. The frightening temperature turned the souls into nothing before their miserable screech could be emitted. Kai! The sharp wind from behind her arrived after she had shattered the black soul dragon. Her hand formed a seal with lightning-like speed before smashing it behind her without even turning her head. Bang! The two collided. A frightening wind swept over the sky like a storm. The rich energy fog within a 1,000-foot radius had become thinner as a result. The visibility within the fog had become much better. Groan! A muffled moan was emitted from Han Li's throat when the wind swept away. His feet staggered back through empty air. That frightening and ferocious scar-filled face revealed a faint paleness on it. Although Han Li was forced back, Xuan's foot was shaken until she took half a step back. A slight numb feeling appeared within her hand. This Han Li was clearly not a simple character. Otherwise, he would not have been able to force her back. Han Ya, it looks like the two of you do not wish to leave the Jiyu realm alive. Xuan clenched her hand. Her icy cold eyes landed on Han Ya as she coldly cried out. He. There is no need for Miss Xuan to be worried. Han Ya laughed in a dark voice. His eyes suddenly glanced down. Xiao Yan was seated below him. The Do Chi fluctuation around him was becoming more intense. We won't be able to kill Xuan-Er within a short period of time. Looks like we can only kill Xiao Yan. After having experienced these exchanges, Han Ya had gained an understanding of Xuan-Er's strength. He understood that even if he and Han Li were to join hands, they could fight with Xuan-Er, but they would not be able to seriously injure or kill her. However, Xiao Yan was currently in a state where he was experiencing a breakthrough. If he were to successfully do so, they would end up with some trouble. Despite Xiao Yan only being a 6-star Do Zun, Han Ya, who had watched the battle between Xiao Yan and Ji Yu Yao back then, understood that Xiao Yan's fighting strength far exceeded his surface strength. Han Li, go and kill Xiao Yan. I will stop her. Xuan-Er's expression finally changed when she heard Han Ya's cry. Her lovely figure flashed as she swiftly rushed toward Xiao Yan. However, she had yet to get far when a whistling wind erupted behind her. Xuan-Er turned her head to see countless number of sharp black chains pouring toward her like a storm. Each of these chains possessed the strength to easily penetrate the defenses of an elite Do Zun. When such a number of them had gathered together, even Xuan-Er could not act like she had seen nothing. Han Ya, if you dare hurt him, this heavenly tomb shall be your final resting place. Xuan-Er could only turn her body when faced with Han Ya's ferocious attack. A golden flame swept apart, and those chains were shattered amid some clang sounds. This woman, what powerful strength! If it was a one-on-one fight, I am really no match for her. Han Ya's expression changed as he watched the dark black chains shatter in an instant. He turned his gaze, and a cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Han Li had swiftly rushed to the large rock where Xiao Yan was training at this moment. Han Li's actions were also discovered by Xuan-Er. A dense murderous aura surged from her eyes. Her sleeve shook and a golden long spear that contained an extremely frightening energy suddenly shot out. It ruthlessly shot at Han Ya. However, Han Ya was expressionless as he faced Xuan-Er's ferocious attack. It appeared as though he did not sense it. His fist, which was covered in a dense cold fog, smashed toward Xiao Yan's head without any hesitation. It was as though he wanted to take Xiao Yan's life even if he ended up being seriously injured by Xuan-Er. Even Xuan-Er's face had suddenly revealed a paleness when she saw this scene. A bone-chilling craziness erupted from deep within her eyes. When this craziness had surged from deep within Xuan-Er's eyes, Xiao Yan, who was seated on the large rock, suddenly opened his eyes. The corner of his mouth was lifted into a cold smile. His right hand slammed toward Han Li, who was within close proximity, with lightning-like speed. Great Heaven Creation Palm. The moment the palm was thrown out, a dark black heart-chilling light sphere began to expand with lightning-like speed. At this moment, the eyes of the ferocious-looking Han Li finally revealed an aghast expression. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 416. Chapter 1345. Advancing to 6-star, the dark black light sphere was like a mysterious black hole that swiftly spread from Xiao Yan's palm. Within the blink of an eye, it ruthlessly collided with Han Li, who was in close proximity. What a frightening retaliation by this brat! A shocked expression flashed across Han Li's eyes as he watched the black hole rapidly magnify in his eyes. Given Xiao Yan's strength, it was impossible for him to block an attack by Han Li even after waking up. However, Han Li did not expect this fellow to unhesitatingly unleash a powerful Do skill the moment he opened his eyes. When the black hole made contact with Han Li's body, his body emitted wave after wave of dense black fog Do Chi. However, it did not erode him and cause his body to disappear like Old Ghost Jai Xing. Clearly, the strength of Han Li had far exceeded Old Ghost Jai Xing. HMPH. Xiao Yan's eyes turned cold when he sensed the light sphere met some resistance. Do Chi began to surge from his body in all directions before pouring into the dark black light sphere. Sizzle sizzle. Following the pouring in of Do Chi, Han Ya's sleeve was shattered with a ripping sound. Dense droplets of blood seeped from his arms. These blood droplets rolled down before turning into a line that continued to fall to the ground. Han Li's expression changed when he sensed the frightening tearing force that was spreading from the light circle. He could sense the energy within the light sphere was becoming stronger. If this continued, he would not be able to endure and some serious injuries would occur. Soul explosion. A brutalness flashed across Hun Li's eyes when this thought appeared in his heart. A dense black fog continued to surge from his palm. Finally, numerous powerful spiritual bodies exploded amid a wave of sharp, miserable screeches. A frightening energy exploded at this moment and forcefully stopped the speed at which the black light was expending. With the help of the reaction force from the soul explosion, Hun Li's body swiftly pulled back. He is indeed worthy of being an expert of the Hun clan. A grave expression flew across Xiao Yan's eyes when he saw that this fellow blocked the great heaven creation palm, but his right palm slammed into the empty air in an abrupt manner. Bang! After Xiao Yan's palm fell, the black light sphere, which had been blocked by the soul explosion, emitted a bang before continuing to expand. It caught up to the rapidly withdrawing Hun Ya with lightning-like speed. The light sphere ruthlessly collided with his body. Grug! The blood and do qi within Hun Li's body churned after suffering this ferocious strike. His organs appeared to have been shaken until their positions were shifted. A mouthful of fresh red blood was spat out. His body flew into the distance like a kite with its string broken. Since you have already attacked, you should leave your life behind. Xuan was startled by this scene that had occurred within a split second. Her heart sighed in relief after seeing that Xiao Yan was all right. Her pretty eyes glanced at Hun Li, who had flown back after being injured. The murderous desire in her heart suddenly surged. With a shake of her hand, a long spear with golden flames on it penetrated empty space with lightning speed. It ruthlessly rushed toward Hun Li's head. Xuan was extremely vicious. At this moment, Hun Li was completely exhausted. Moreover, his body was in the air. It was impossible for him to dodge her attack. Hence, he could only watch as the golden spear ruthlessly shot toward his head. Bang! When the golden spear was about to strike Hun Li's head, a wind suddenly shot over. It heavily struck Hun Li's body. With the push from this force, Hun Li's body shifted a little. Instead of his head, his shoulder ended up receiving the attack. Puff! The golden spear ruthlessly shot into Hun Li's shoulder. Its frightening strength penetrated his shoulder. Hun Li's body flew because of the long spear. It was violently nailed into the ground. The land within 1,000 feet collapsed and became half a meter deep. A frightening wind spread from where the ground collapsed. A dark black figure flashed and arrived in a ghost-like fashion. A gloominess flashed across Hun Ya's face when he saw Hun Li's blood-covered body. A mouth-sized injury that revealed Hun Li's bone appeared on his shoulder. Hun Ya's hand was used as a knife as he decisively hacked down. Fresh blood spluttered as he completely cut off Hun Li's left arm. That spot had been completely eroded by the golden flame. Hun Li would gradually have turned into ashes if he kept it. However, Hun Li was quite tough. He clenched his teeth without making any noise when Hun Ya forcefully cut off his arm. Xiao Yan, consider yourselves ruthless. This debt will not be settled so easily. Hun Ya grabbed Hun Li, who barely had any breath left. He looked at Xiao Yan and Xuan in a vicious manner as he spoke in a dense voice. You wish to leave? Xuan coldly laughed when she saw him. She was just about to move and stop him when a dense black fog surged out of Hun Ya's body. A countless number of ferocious-looking spiritual bodies shot out in all directions. They viciously rushed toward Xuan. However, they ended up exploding with a bang when they were still 100 feet from her. Countless number of souls self-destructed. That frightening air wave caused Xuan to frown. Her body pulled back a couple of steps as she waved her hand. Golden flames swept out and incinerated the dark black fog. However, Hun Ya and Hun Li were nowhere to be found within the black fog. They are really quick to escape. Xuan knit her brows. She turned her head and glanced at the energy light curtain that led to the second level. Two figures vaguely flashed beyond that spot. After which, they entered the curtain. Those two were clearly Hun Ya and Hun Li. Xuan hurriedly looked at Xiao Yan after withdrawing her eyes from the energy curtain only to see that his face was a little pale. She hurried over and asked, Xiao Yan Gege, are you all right? It's nothing serious. I have just broken through and the do qi within my body is still unstable. Unleashing that Tien class do skill has resulted in a backlash. I will be fine after I recuperate for a while. Xiao Yan shook his head and replied. We nearly fell for a trick of those two. We must take their lives the next time we meet them. Xuan furiously cried out. Xiao Yan nodded. A killing intent surged within his eyes. If he had not awoken early this time around and used a TN-class Do skill, that sneak attack would have succeeded. We should be a little more careful in the future. Those fellows aren't ordinary, Xiao Yan quietly spoke in his heart. Since there had been no trace of anyone during this period of training, Xiao Yan's caution had been reduced. Only now did he understand that this heavenly tomb was not as peaceful as he had imagined. Xiao Yan Gege, you should go and recuperate. We will enter the second level after you have recovered. Han Li was seriously injured by me. Their strength will definitely be reduced. I am confident I can kill Han Ya if we meet again. Xu spoke with a cold face. She was really furious this time around. Xiao Yan nodded. He would naturally not let the opportunity to beat a drowning dog go to waste. Moreover, this drowning dog was the bastard, Han Ya. He should not let him off easily. Xiao Yan shut his eyes after uttering that word. His breathing stabilized, and the paleness on his face swiftly disappeared. Once Xiao Yan entered his training state, Xu slowly stood up. With the prior incident, she no longer dared to be more than a meter away from Xiao Yan. Her face was ice-cold as the mighty Do Qi within her body surged like floodwater. Anyone who entered the range of her senses would suffer a wild storm-like attack. Xiao Yan's training continued for around an hour or so, after which, he slowly opened his eyes. Surging Do Qi fluctuated within his eyes as though it was a real substance. His hand moved and numerous slight scars appeared in space. The aura of the current Xiao Yan had undoubtedly been strengthened when compared to earlier. 6-star Do Zun. Xiao Yan smiled as he sensed the ocean-like Do Qi within his body. He could sense the soaring of his strength and the comfortable feeling brought by the increase of his level. The effects of 4 months of training has been extremely good. However, I wonder just how long it will take to break through to the 7th star. Xiao Yan understood that the heavenly tomb's energy cores were great nourishment. However, it was becoming more difficult to raise one's level at the later stages of the Do Zun class because the energy that was required to advance was so large that it was shocking. It was too difficult to reach. Xiao Yan Gege, congratulations. Xu only heaved a sigh of relief within her heart when she saw Xiao Yan open his eyes. She sweetly smiled and uttered congratulatory words. With her perception, she was naturally able to sense that Xiao Yan's current strength had increased. This is only the 6th star. There is still a gap when I'm compared to Ji Yu Yao and that Han Ya. Xiao Yan straightened his body. He heard the crackling sounds of his bones from within his body and laughed. They have to train for much longer than you. They cannot compare to you at your age. Moreover, the two clans possess an extremely rich foundation. The way they have been groomed is something that an ordinary person cannot compare with. Xu covered her mouth and softly giggled. If Xiao Yan Gege trained like this since young, you might have reached the Do Sheng class by now. One cannot rely on this to reach the Do Sheng class. Xiao Yan helplessly shook his head. After which, he stood up and looked to the energy light in the distance. He laughed and said, "Let's go. It is time for us to experience how dangerous the second level of the heavenly tomb is." Xiao Yan stomped on a large rock after uttering these words. His body shot toward the light curtain. Xu who was behind him, smiled and swiftly followed. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible.